Hello and welcome into the KE Report. I'm your host, Shad Markwitz, and we're getting an update today from Erik Wetterling, also known as the Hedgeless Horseman. And we'll put a link to the Hedgeless Horseman website down below this so you can follow along with Erik's work and the analysis he does on different companies that he follows in the portfolio, and his thoughts on junior resource investing in general. And Erik, it's always good to get you on the call just to get an update on what has your attention in the junior resource stocks. We were talking off mic for a while about Inflection Resources. Inflection is traded on the CSE under the ticker AUCU and on the OTCQB under the ticker AUCUF. We just had Alistair Waddell, the CEO of Inflection Resources, on the show last week talking about some of their recent drill results at the Duck Creek project, and this has really gotten the market animated. And Erik, you were pretty animated off mic just about the potential, not just at this project, but along their prolific land package. They have so many other targets. So maybe just walk us through the value proposition that you see in Inflection Resources.
Yeah, I mean, as I probably said a bunch of times and written articles about, I've loved Inflection for quite some time. I think I was in around the IPO. And the simple bet was that I've learned my lessons from pre-discovery stories. Like I always think that chance of success is typically higher than it really is. What I really love about Inflection is that it's almost like you have 25 juniors in one, in the sense that they had an enormous land package or have an enormous land package. They have, I don't know how many targets, and they would be systematically drilling them, and AngloGold Ashanti would be paying for it. So it's like, look at the resume of the people involved in Inflection. You have people with some serious discoveries under their belt. You have experts on Macquarie Arc porphyry. So it's like, it's the best of the best, basically. They know the signs or what you need to see for there to be another, KDA Ridgeway, KDA East, North Parks, Coal, etc. So probably couldn't ask for better people. Insiders have a huge skin in the game. A major is funding them. And that's how I looked at it. It's like most pre-discovery stories I prefer to buy or not to buy them post-discovery, or at least, if you're going to get a serious position, let's say, because pre-discovery, I mean, the odds are very low. Then it comes down to, okay, what are you paying for it? So if there's a 5 to 10% chance of success, you have to own like 10 to 20 of such juniors at the same position size for, a few of them to work out, and then they're supposed to pay for all the rest. I mean, in this case, I've been quite happy to have, especially for a pre-discovery play, a large position, simply because they have so many targets, and as they've stated from the beginning, they are only interested in very large world-class type targets. They are not looking for something that's, of interest, let's say, because you bet there's a lot of stuff showing up in the geophysics. So they've only tried to target areas where they believe there's potential for very large, like multi-billion-dollar deposits. And this recent news release tells us that they think they are closest that they have ever been to making a potential discovery.
Yeah, and when we were talking with Alistair last week, he was talking about some of the Pathfinder elements being in there, like the arsenic, which you want to see in this kind of a system. And he was also mentioning that, they have a lot of the other kind of minerals in there that you want to see as well, like the bismuth and the molybdenum, but obviously elevated copper and gold values. So I was surprised, Erik, by how much the stock has responded, because yes, it could be big and it could be a big system and they are closer, but they didn't really hit pay dirt yet. I mean, they just hit like the right kind of mineralized rock package. Why do you think the market has responded so bigly to this press release they just put out last week?
Right. And I mean, to your point, on the shortly after the market opened, after the news, I mean, it was, 20,000 shares traded, was up 3.5% only. And I was going to say, I might have been not expecting too much, because typically it's like, with soil samples or whatever, it's like nowadays, I mean, you almost have to have a bonanza type hit for people to get really excited. And that is often, irrational in a sense, but that's just how, the retail sector works. In this case, Inflection is very tightly held. I believe that most people are in it for the longer term, and we've seen this, given that it's now actually going higher. To me, the exciting thing, and it took a while to, figure that out, but it's like in the news release, you see a cross section, And then they showed this hole 20, which is the hole that's had or shows the strongest hydrothermal alteration to date of any holes they've drilled across their entire portfolio. So that's closest to something, potassic higher grade core, for example, the actual ore body than another hole. And as they announced, they've already started step out drilling around that, because again, it says and their behavior suggests they think they are very close to something. But if you look at that cross section, you see an inner propylitic alteration zone. And this is just, theorized. They can't know for sure. But on that cross section, it does look like the idea right now that it might be the same inner propylitic zone that they've hit like up to 1.5 kilometers away. And if you Google inner propylitic zone and Cadia and or Macquarie Arc, for example, overall, then you get some schematics from, North Parks and Cadia Ridgeway and Cadia East. And the ones I've found, at least, the inner propylitic zones around Cadia Ridgeway is like kind of tiny. I think it's like, 200 meters or something thick. And it's not an elongated body, really. It's more like a tabular, more of these typical pencil porphyries. But it's like Cadia East, I think it's 2 kilometers stretch for that ore body. And that's the giant one. So it's like, that is what stuck out to me. It's like, okay, it seems that they've hit in the propylitic alteration, which surrounds the potassic higher grade core, basically, over quite a distance. And obviously we don't know how, it could go even further to the west. It could go much deeper, whatever. We don't know where the actual potassic core might be. But it's just the scale, the footprint. And then you look at the, market cap. Okay, is there a non-zero chance that they might be on to making a potentially very large copper gold porphyry discovery in Macquarie Arc? Yes, I would say so. Okay, what chance is priced in? If we're talking billions of dollars in potential, because Cadia East is a behemoth that puts out like 1 million ounces AU equivalent per year. I think it's Australia's largest gold mine on top of being a copper mine. I didn't see much chance being priced in. If there was like a 10% chance that they're onto a massive discovery, I think this is cheap. And so I think it's the context, people who understand, like, okay, what could explain this kind of massive zonation of inner propylitic alteration? Okay, obviously AngloGold and Inflection are excited because they immediately started drilling and they make a big deal out of it. And it's the, hole that's been drilled that looks to be the closest to a potential discovery. So it's like, for the first time ever, we're kind of on discovery watch here. And let's not forget, it's not like everything, lives and dies with Duck Creek. And that's, again, what I really like, that there's no guarantee, absolutely no guarantees that this will be a major discovery. But they also have a bunch of targets to test outside of this. So this can't kill the story, still can't kill the story, but it for sure can make the story. And it could be a big story.
Yeah, it's a good point. And with a prospect generator model, they can have so many other projects that they work on with other people's money. So AngloGold Ashanti could always pivot to another project if Duck Creek doesn't work out. But like you say, if they actually do make a discovery at Duck Creek and people are on Discovery Watch, it could really respond. So I'd like to bring in their sister company, Headwater Gold, traded on the CSE under the ticker HWG and on the OTCQB under the ticker HWAUF. And so this is the same kind of approach, Erik, where they're using the prospect generator model. We've talked about Headwater on the show before and just some of the work they were doing staking some land in Nevada, and that Centerra Gold just came in as a partner and strategic shareholder. But they have money being spent by Newmont right now, and they are planning to drill their TJ project in Nevada. They just announced that. What do you think about Headwater Gold using the same kind of approach that Inflection is, and just, I guess, both companies, the potential of this prospect generator model to have more swings at the bat?
Yeah, these are some of the few, I'm not going to even say pre-discovery plays, because in Headwater case, they've already made the discovery at Spring Peak, and Newmont, as you said, is funding that. But it's like, again, nobody knows what the future holds. Nobody knows what a company is going to end up finding or not end up finding. All we know is that, okay, what's the market cap right now? And then, okay, easiest thing for any novice or like retail, like who cares? Well, in this case, Newmont cares about Spring Peak / Lodestar. Okay, Newmont is what, $74 billion? Okay, what kind of scale do they need to see to even get interested? Well, a $500 million potential in a project, that's nothing to Newmont. It wouldn't be worth their time. 1 billion, don't think so either. 2 billion, yeah, then it probably starts to get interesting. So it's like I like to just reverse engineer. It's like, what do the Newmont guys need to see in terms of potential, not guaranteed success or guaranteed potential, but in just potential. And then you add the fact that these guys, kind of like Inflection, they have like 11 more projects, or 10 if you exclude Lodestar and consider that part of Spring Peak. And that's why I think Centerra got interested. And I think that's directly related to the recent news of them having put TJ up on the top of the list to drill basically after some CSAMT reading. So I assume that Centerra Gold has seen the survey results and they're like, hey, this looks good. Can we invest some money? It's like, sure, go ahead. And we have a bunch of other targets. So it's like, I don't know it's going to come out of Spring Peak. We know it's a discovery already. We know they have amassed by now a huge land package. And I don't know what's going to come out of TJ. And unlike, let's say, Inflection, there's more, it's higher risk in a sense. I mean, they're drilling deeper and all that. And obviously, porphyries can deliver those like, hundreds of meters of mineralization intercepts. Whereas like low sulfidation systems, they tend to be, have a boiling zone and it can kind of, let's say, can vary in terms of, okay, you might hit it at one place and not hit it in another place, yada, yada. So it's more of a process in a sense, but you can see it's like, that's why I think the market is underappreciating Headwater, because they keep, stepping out, and they're still stepping out at Spring Peak. And I mean, look at the market cap, what's priced in there. And they're not the only one. I mean, there's some other or hybrid plays, I was going to say, like Ridgeline, for example, that are just mathematically undervalued. Or if the market is right, then these majors must be brain dead.
Yeah, I think it's a good point that the majors are not going to be interested in these projects like Headwater, Inflection, or even Ridgeline that you threw in there. You wouldn't have the majors partnering with them if they thought they were going to be small to mid-sized projects. They're looking for the big swing for the fences style projects, big targets with scale. And so we're actually going to keep following along with all three of those companies. One other one we want to weave in here, though, that I don't think we've talked about for a long time, Erik, is Tectonic Metals. It's traded on the TSX-V under the ticker TECT, and on the OTCQB under the ticker TETOF. And they are going to be doing a drill program following up on the success they've had in the past at their flat gold project. This is in southwestern Alaska. This year's program just, it's been funded. They're off to the races. I just met with the CEO, Tony, and some of the management team in Beaver Creek. I know they're a company that you follow in your portfolio. What are you looking at here, or what's the value proposition for Tectonic Metals?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those swing for the fences cases. And unlike Headwater Inflection, I mean, they're paying everything on their own dime. They have one very large low-hanging fruit target, the flat gold project. So they don't have that kind of backup per se, where it's like, okay, if this doesn't work out, we have a bunch of other targets that looks as good. I mean, they have more targets within the flat gold project, though. But I see this as one of those classic high risk, high reward. Obviously, you can see that the footprint of the system appears to be very large. They basically hit gold in every hole. Not that everything is necessarily economic, but it's like there's a big bottom mineralization there. I just hope that from this drilling, for example, that is like maybe wakes up the market. I mean, that they basically confirm that, yes, we can hit some, good grades over good widths, etc. Because it's still Alaska, and it's not the most. I mean, it's not right next to a train station or anything like that. So they would need the scale. They have announced that their preliminary metallurgical results actually look really, really good, because if it was really bad and refractory or whatever, I don't know how big they would need to, what grades or how big it would need to be for anybody to even care. So, I mean, that lowers the threshold for critical success. I mean, just look at Nova Gold, for example. They have I think it's like 40 million ounces, but it's refractory. Anyway, no, I see this as one of those where it's like, I'm happy to have a small position where it's like, okay, odds are they're not going to end up making a multi-million ounce world-class discovery, let's say. There might be a lot of gold everywhere, but it's like, who knows? Maybe if some other company drilled it later on, they might prove it up, as happens now and then. But I simply see it as one of the simplest high-risk, high-reward bets out there. Not one you bet the farm on, because obviously we don't know what the chance of success is. And again, they have no real margin of safety. But at 23 million market cap, for example, if there's a few percent or maybe 10-15% chance they're going to end up making something that could be really significant, then there's obviously quite a bit of upside. Until now, I mean, they have been in the doom loop of dilution, basically, that they put out results, but not enough to get anybody to like out of breath buy the stock up. So they had to, basically dilute. So everybody's been front running that all the time. So I'm hoping they might be able to hit something that really wakes the market up, and they go into a more positive cycle, let's say, where it's like people are actually not waiting for the next placement, and the people front running the next placement can't just overwhelm the buying so easily because they're the only ones that care about the story and can just short the stock, let's say. So again, it's like none of these are like absolute guaranteed. I just know that they're all kind of cheap, and obviously with gold at $2,600, if any one of these end up making a significant discovery, should pay for the other three by far.
Okay. Well, appreciate getting an update on Tectonic. And they do have, when I met with them, I was impressed that they do have some infrastructure. They do have some road access, some barge access, and a landing strip. And they have a pretty good partnership with the First Nations group there. So they have the potential to make a discovery that's on par with some of the other big Alaskan discoveries like Ken Ross's Fort Knox or Barrick and NovaGold's Donlin deposit. So there could be some of that same potential there. I think that's what people are hoping for, but we'll see what they come up with this year's drill program, and we'll try to get Tony and the team from Tectonic on the show soon for an update. But appreciate your thoughts on Inflection and Headwater as well, using the prospect generator model. And if people listening in want to follow along with Erik's thoughts on all the companies he's following, definitely check out the Hedgeless Horseman website. We'll put a link to that down below, and his YouTube channel. And Erik, looking forward to our next conversation.
Thank you. And as always, I'm biased. I own shares of all companies I mentioned, to our banner sponsors as well. And again, don't bet the farm on any one of these. I mean, there's plenty of upside potential for a small position to make a dent